Can you imagine if Basquiat was created in this time, had social media, and had the tug and pull that a lot of creatives go through? Do I live the Basquiat story? And are we abandoning our Basquiat moments?
I came to Atlanta from Maryland. When I came from Maryland, I remember I was walking around and they was like, this nigga is fly. But Maryland gave me that.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Maryland gave me fashion. And that community out there that I was running around with just happened to be a bunch of young fly dudes. Now in Atlanta, they was looking at my clothes like, what do you have on even? I knew I was fresh because Baltimore said I was fresh.
Right.
And this is the same thing that happens musically. Like I'm making statements with these drums and I'm sending them over to session players who play in sessions with whoever, but their community isn't my community. When folks say something like, yo, I don't fucking understand these drums. I'm like, I bet the fuck you don't.
Yeah.
You know, you live over here. They live over there.
Do you
we
feel
speak in two different languages, you know?
I never forget I was in a beat battle and one of these judges said, this shit sounds too piano-y. I was like, nigga, what? What does that even mean?
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah.
And another homie was like, yeah, that shit sounds piano. It sounds video gamey. I said, well, I made it on a video game called MTV Music Generator. So like, what do you mean? And it frustrated me for years until I recognized that they're literally giving me the DNA of my sound. I just couldn't see that. And I didn't have a lot of people that sounded like, quote unquote, like me. And that's not even trying to be on some cocky, because it wasn't cocky. It was literally from a place of insecurity. Like, do I need to conform? But bro, my conforming wouldn't conform. I would try to make these beats. Like it's clean. It's funny to hear you say like, you know, you like the cleanliness in my sound.
I admire that shit, bro.
Bro,
like,
I appreciate that, but it's so wild to hear you say that because folks in the industry that are more so about the radio records, they looked at me like, yeah, the drums are too swingy. You need to quantize those up. I don't know. It's just too many instruments. And I tried to morph myself into it at a younger age, and it wasn't so much I found myself just hating the beats. I found myself hating myself. And maybe that's a strong word. Maybe hate is a strong word, but that's how I felt in the moment. Was like, I just felt like a part of my soul was being ripped out the more function beats that I make.
Yeah, you feel like you folded. Like you gave
in. It folded in the name of what? And
right.
And when my homies that are on the side of get your paper, we get it, you got to get in before you can start changing things, they encouraged it even if they didn't understand it. And it was like, damn, it kind of leaves me right in the middle where I'm not industry enough for industry, and now the sound is too polished for the beat heads.
You got this understanding of industry. You have this understanding of quote unquote the rules.
Right.
And you have this struggle with said rules, right? Like, am I conforming too much? Am I me enough? You know what I mean? And I have this struggle where like I'm so fucking artistic, it's a fault. And where I'm like, I'm so far away from the rules that I just do weirdo shit. And then like people don't even like, what are you doing, bro? Like that's that's more of the conversations I'm getting. Like, what the fuck are you doing? And it'll make sense later. Like, I end up in that space a lot. So I don't know, man. Like when I heard the sound that you made, it was more so like this takes a certain amount of technical prowess to create. Like I'm hearing things I don't know how to do. You feel what I'm saying? And I think that's where that admiration was coming from. I was like, damn, this dude's mixes are fantastic. Like, I don't know how to get this level of separation and this level of clarity and this level of clean.
On the opposite side, here I am looking at you like he knows the perfect place to tailor back the drums and still smack. You know, like my mama used to say, boy, you heavy-handed. Pick up an egg, you probably break the egg in your palm, even though that's impossible. You probably break the egg in your palm because I'm heavy-handed. And I feel like that heavy-handedness finds its way into the sound of my music. And I don't want anybody to get the wrong idea that I don't like the sound of my music. Somebody said that's part of your signature. And I get that. I get that. But what I'm saying is that no longer serves the person behind Curtis King, the human being behind Curtis King, because I'm recognizing there's a disconnect between the things that I'm listening to and the things that I make. And some things are meant to be things that I listen to and things that I make. But I'm in a place now where it's like it no longer satisfies me to make these overly produced beats and heavy, loud drums. Now I want to make things that feel like I listen back to it and I don't necessarily need to hear growth. I need to hear moments. Reminded me of a conversation that kind of got me in this train of thought. There's an artist I work with named Stevie Crooks, really amazing independent artist. and we were having a studio conversation, long conversation, and he brought up the name Basquiat, and he was like, can you imagine if Basquiat was created in this time and had had social media and had the tug and pull that a lot of creatives go through of, do I live the Basquiat story, or do I have to live what society says is best for Basquiat in order to be seen? And would he be seen, and would he be respected as he is, as great and as legendary as his artwork is? And if that's the case, does that represent the independent artist? And are we abandoning our Basquiat moments, right? Where the kind of music we make belongs in museums. And I don't say that from a cocky standpoint. I say it just for the imagery. Where the music belongs in a museum, it doesn't belong in a 99-cent store or a Goodwill store where it makes you say, damn, remember this brand? This brand used to be really, really fire back in the day. Like, this was the brand. But the music that goes in the museums is like, nah, they got to rope that shit off. You got to stand 15 feet away from it. That's how I view your music. I always am like a big advocate for you getting even more weird. Like when you were experimenting things for the last beat tape, and you were showing me some of the stuff through the phone, I was like, bro, please be weird. Because you living in your Basquiat. Like, this shit don't belong. It's not supposed to be understood by those who value the quality, even the engineers that are concerned about the industry standard. This is meant to be the artwork it is, so that 20 years, 30 years from now, people are grateful that you didn't stray or didn't get moved in the direction to go mainstream or whatever you want to call them. Try not to put branding names on it, but for the sake of the audience understanding, that's where I'm at with it. What do you kind of feel about that analogy of the Basquiat?
Nah, that makes all the sense in the world. You know, because if you look at a Basquiat piece, like, that shit might not be the most technically and magnificent piece in the world, but it's going to capture that emotion. It's going to give you that message. It's going to hit your soul. And I think that's art. You know what I mean? And that's the struggle, right? It's like, you got to speak your language. You got to say your thing, speak your piece. It's like, you got to do you at the expense of like disregarding a lot of stuff. Like, bro, I remember I sent some joints to House Shoes.
Yeah.
I was really excited about that. That dude liked my music. I was ecstatic. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Shoes. Shoes looked out for me a lot, and he didn't have to, and I appreciate that.
Yeah.
He's a solid dude. You know what I'm saying? Solid dude. I sent him some joints, and he was like, they're too slow. The quality is there, but they're too slow.
Interesting.
I never forgot that message. That's a direct quote. If I looked it up right now, it would be exactly those words. I never forgot. Burned into my memory.
If you search your text messages, it's too slow. The first name is gonna pop up as House Shoes.
Yeah. You know, this was like veggie tacos, sorry Fred, bro. And I'm like, that shit stuck.
Tacos, man.
It stuck so much I got on stage and was like, what happens if I speed them up a little bit, man?
Yeah.
Maybe you know what I'm saying? So, but, you know, I was like, man, that shit, bro. I got to make these 60 BPM joints. And that's what felt right to me. And just like, you got to do you, bro. Like, he didn't understand it. And I was like, you just not going to understand it. Legendary DJ House Shoes, you just
even
not going to get it, goddamn. You know what I mean? Even you, bro.
That's just, that right there, I think stops a lot of potential Basquiats in their own art. I think that stops so many people when it's somebody that's like, if anybody gonna get me, he gonna get me. Cause I see his portfolio. I see what he values. I value much of the same things. And what I'm coming to realize is that you never know what space or what pocket mentally somebody's in at that point in time.
That's the exact.
You know what I'm saying? Go ahead, expand upon that.
Cause he was like, he didn't understand it. But then I listened to the catalog that he released in that time frame, and I understand exactly why he didn't get it. Because of the stuff that he was releasing wasn't that. It was something else. And then years later, he was like, no, I f with what you do, and I love your sound. And like, don't ever change that shit and keep making stuff and send me more joints and all of that.
Dope.
You know, he just wasn't there yet, which is totally okay. Everybody's not going to be in the same space that you're in at the moment that you're in it. You're going to see things that people don't see until later on. The sound that I was with wasn't even really that interesting to folks at first. Like, I probably dropped 3 records before one of them worked, and then a couple worked, and then I'm doing shit now that the algorithm doesn't understand yet. And then later on, it might be cool. You know what I'm saying? But I got to keep experimenting in my own little space. Even though folks are saying, like, give me more veggie tacos. I'm like, I can't. I got to do this weirdo shit.
Yeah.
I have to. I have to be over here doing this other thing. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.